I saw him digging right there by the big oak tree, around midnight.
Kimberly,
he was burying
Kim
something, I'm
Walton
sure of it.
could not breathe. Her chest burned, her hands shook, and her eyes refused to look away from the thing lying in the dirt. At first, she thought her mind was playing tricks on her, that the shadows were wrong, or that she was looking at some kind of animal. But no, this was human. This was real. And this was her mother. Her mother's body, without the head, was half buried in a shallow hole behind the small white house on Maple Ridge Lane. The same house Kim had visited many times. The same yard her mother used to grow roses in. Now the roses were dead, the soil was torn up, and the soft ground looked like someone had been digging at night. Kim's knees buckled. She dropped to the cold dirt, a scream stuck in her throat. Her fingers touched the ground near the body, shaking so badly she couldn't keep them still. She didn't touch her mother. She was too afraid, but she reached close enough to know the truth. The clothes, the small silver bracelet, the scar on the wrist where her mother once burned herself cooking. All of it confirmed one nightmare-level truth. Her mother, Martha Freitag, had been murdered, and the killer had chopped off her head. Kim tried to stand, but her legs felt like rubber. Her ears rang. Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear her own cries. The smell in the air, a mix of wet dirt and something far worse, made her gag. The silence around her felt wrong. Too quiet, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Before she could even think of running, she heard a noise behind her. A door creaked. Kim spun around. Someone was watching her, and the look in their eyes told her she wasn't supposed to find this. Not yet. Not ever. The last thing Kim saw was a figure stepping out from the doorway of the house. Then everything went black. To understand how Kim ended up on the ground next to her mother's decapitated body, we need to go back to the beginning, back to the moments when things still looked normal but were already going terribly wrong. Kim Walton was 27 years old, a calm girl, always respectful, always patient. She worked at a small animal shelter in town, cleaning kennels and feeding stray dogs. People called her soft-spoken, but she was far stronger than she looked. She lived alone in a small apartment, but she visited her mother, Martha, at least once every week. Martha Freitag was a gentle woman in her early 50s who struggled with depression. She lived on disability checks and sometimes needed help with groceries and small chores. Their bond was strong, even if their lives were not perfect. But everything changed when Martha started dating a man named David Callahan. David was in his 50s too, rough around the edges, with a cold stare that made Kim uncomfortable from the first day she met him. He had a past, nothing proven, but whispered rumors of fights, threats, and strange behavior. Martha insisted he was harmless. "He just had a hard life, Kim," she would say. "He's trying to be better." Kim didn't buy it. Something in David's eyes looked wrong. Dark, empty. One Sunday afternoon, when Kim visited, she found her mother with a fresh bruise on her shoulder. Martha said she had fallen in the shower. That was the moment Kim truly began to worry. A week later, she tried calling her mother. No answer. She tried again the next day. Nothing. By day 3, she drove straight to Martha's house. David was outside, smoking, leaning against the wall like he had been waiting. "Where's my mom?" Kim asked. "She left," he said simply. "Left where?" He shrugged. "She walked out, took some things, said she needed space." It didn't make sense. Her mother didn't go anywhere without telling her. She never left home at all. Kim looked in the windows. Her mom's favorite slippers were still by the door. Her purse was hanging on the hook. Even her reading glasses were still sitting on the table. If Martha had left, she would have taken them. "Something's wrong," Kim whispered. David's eyes hardened. "Drop it." Kim didn't drop it. She went to the police that same day, speaking to Officer Daniels at the front desk. She begged them to check on her mother, begged them to look at David, begged them to at least open a missing persons case. They didn't. "Martha has a history of leaving home when she's stressed," Officer Daniels said. "We can't jump to conclusions." Kim argued. She pushed. She even cried. But the officer gently told her to go home and wait a few more days. Kim left the station feeling helpless, but she refused to give up. Every day for 2 weeks, she called the police. Every day she drove past her mother's house. Every day she saw David coming and going like nothing had happened. And every day her fear grew. On the 18th day, she noticed something strange in the backyard. A patch of dirt had been dug up and filled in again. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't even. It looked like someone had rushed to cover something. That night, she sat awake in her apartment, heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't ignore the feeling anymore. She had to go back. She had to look. She had to know. Just after dawn, Kim parked down the street from the house, sneaking around the fence so David wouldn't see her. She waited until she was sure no one was watching. Then she stepped into the backyard. The ground was still soft, recently disturbed. Her hands moved on their own. She didn't know what pushed her. Fear, instinct, or something like a voice inside begging her to uncover the truth. She dug with her hands. The soil was damp, cold, sticky. Then her fingers hit something. Cloth. She brushed away more dirt. A sleeve. A bracelet. A hand. Her mother's hand. Kim screamed so loud the birds in the trees scattered. The shock hit so hard she nearly fainted. She kept digging, faster, terrified, desperate. And then she uncovered the body. Or most of it. There was no head. Her mind cracked open with horror. She barely had time to process what she was looking at when she heard the sound. The slow, careful creak of a door. She turned. David stood there, watching her. Expressionless. Not surprised. Not scared. Just cold. And then everything went dark. When Kim woke up, she was lying on the ground at the edge of the backyard. Her head throbbed. There was dirt in her hair and in her mouth. She pushed herself up, gasping for air. The yard was silent. The body was gone. The hole had been filled again, rushed and uneven. Her mother's body had been taken. Kim staggered to her feet, dizzy. Panic clawed at her throat. She didn't know how long she had been unconscious. Minutes? An hour? More? Her phone was missing, but her car keys were still in her pocket. She stumbled to her car, shaking so violently that she dropped the keys twice before sliding into the driver's seat. She drove straight to the police station, running inside with dirt still clinging to her clothes. Officer Daniels stared at her in shock. "What happened to you?" Kim could barely talk. Her voice cracked. "My mother, there's a body, he hit me, he buried her." Daniels stood up, frowning. "Slow down. Take a deep breath." "No. You need to come now," Kim screamed. "David has my mother's body. I saw it. He moved it. You need to go. Please, please, please." Her panic shook the entire lobby. Other officers turned their heads. Daniels exchanged a look with another officer, Officer Green, a younger man with tired eyes. Something about Kim, her dirty clothes, her trembling hands, the raw fear in her voice, finally made them believe her. "Let's go," Green said. They put her in the back of the cruiser, not because she was under arrest, but because she was shaking too much to drive. As the car sped toward her mother's house, Kim pressed her forehead to the window and whispered, "Please be there. Please believe me. Please don't let him get away." When they turned onto Maple Ridge Lane, Kim's heart dropped. David's truck was gone. The backyard gate was wide open, and the fresh dirt in the ground looked even more uneven than before. Officer Green stepped out first, placing a hand on his gun. Daniels followed, scanning the area. Kim stayed in the back seat, tears running down her face. Green walked toward the yard. Daniels walked toward the house. For a moment, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Then, a loud crash. Something had just happened behind the house. Something violent. Something dangerous. Officer Daniels shouted, "Green, stay back." But it was too late. A gunshot blasted through the air. The sound of the gunshot ripped through the quiet neighborhood like lightning tearing the sky in half. Kim screamed from inside the police car, slamming her palms against the window. Her heart raced so fast she thought it would burst. She couldn't see who fired the shot, but she saw Officer Daniels sprint toward the backyard with his gun drawn and his voice tight with fear. "Green! Green, answer me!" Daniels shouted. There was no answer. The silence that followed was worse than the gunshot. It was a cold, heavy silence that made Kim's stomach twist. She struggled with the door handle even though she knew she couldn't open it from inside. She kicked the seat in front of her, tears burning her eyes. She didn't want anyone to get hurt. Not the officers, not even herself. She just wanted someone to finally believe her, someone to help her find her mother. And now something bad had happened again. Daniels disappeared behind the side of the house. Kim held her breath. Every second felt like an hour. The cruiser engine hummed softly, the only sound she could hear over her own pulse in her ears. She whispered to herself, "Please be okay. Please be okay. Please be okay." Another noise came from behind the house, a rustle, a thump, something heavy shifting. Kim leaned forward, trying to see through the narrow space between the house and the fence. Her fingers tapped uncontrollably against the window. She felt helpless, trapped inside a police car while terrible things unfolded only feet away. At last, Daniels reappeared, dragging Officer Green by the arm. Kim gasped. Green was alive, but just barely. His face was pale, and blood soaked the shoulder of his uniform. He clutched a hand to the wound, teeth gritted in pain. Daniels lowered him gently to the grass near the cruiser. "She got shot?" Kim stammered. "No," Daniels panted. "He's alive. Bullet grazed him. Missed anything vital. He's going to be fine. But Callahan is gone." Kim's chest tightened. "Gone? As in, he ran?" Daniels nodded sharply. "He fired at us from the back shed and took off before I got around the corner. He must have known we'd come eventually." Kim felt the world tilt again. The killer had been here. He had shot at an officer. And now he was out there somewhere, with her mother's body. She felt small and afraid, like she was shrinking inside herself. But she also felt something else rising inside her, anger. Daniels used his radio, calling for backup and an ambulance. As he talked, Kim squinted into the backyard, trying to see what he had seen. "Where's my mom?" she whispered through the window. Daniels didn't answer yet. He finished the radio call, then opened the back door of the cruiser. Kim flinched at the sudden movement, but he held up his hand gently. "You're safe," he said softly. "But you need to stay calm for me. I need you to tell me everything that happened this morning, exactly how you found the body, exactly how he attacked you, everything." Kim's voice cracked. "Is she still there? In the yard? Or did he move her again?" Daniel's jaw tightened. He didn't want to say the words out loud. "He moved her," he said finally. Kim's whole body went cold. "So she's gone again?" "Yes," Daniel said. "But we're going to find her. And we're going to find him." For the first time, someone finally believed her. Someone finally took this seriously. But instead of feeling relief, Kim felt grief hit her hard. She curled into herself and sobbed into her hands. Daniels didn't rush her. He didn't tell her to calm down. He stood nearby, watching the yard with a protective stare. Soon, more officers arrived, along with paramedics who rushed Green into the ambulance. Detective Laura Bennett, a sharp woman with dark hair tied back in a ponytail, walked straight toward Kim. She crouched by the cruiser door, her voice calm but firm. "Kim, I'm Detective Bennett. I'm taking over this case. I know this is a nightmare for you, but I need you to stay with me. I need your mind clear. Can you talk?" Kim wiped her nose with her sleeve, nodding shakily. "Yes," she whispered. "I can talk." "Good," Bennett said. "We're going to do this step by step. I'll ask questions, and you answer in your own time." Kim tried to steady her breathing. "First," Bennett said, "when did you last see your mother alive?" 3 weeks ago," Kim murmured. "David said she left, but she didn't. She never leaves without telling me." "And what made you come this morning?" Kim swallowed. The dirt. The backyard looked wrong. He buried something. I knew he did. Something told me I had to come. Bennett nodded thoughtfully. And you dug with your hands? Yes, Kim whispered. And I found her. But her head wasn't there. Her head wasn't. The words broke and she covered her mouth. Bennett reached through the open door and placed a firm hand on her shoulder. I'm so sorry you had to see that. No one should ever see something like that. But you did the right thing coming here. Kim sniffed. But now she's gone again. She won't be for long, Bennett said, her voice sharp with determination. Callahan is dangerous, but he's desperate now. Desperate people make mistakes. We'll catch him. More officers spread out, marking the backyard, looking for footprints, debris, anything that would help. Bennett looked at Kim with a strange mixture of sympathy and respect. You found the body before any of us, Bennett said. You found what we couldn't. That means you know him better than you think. We're going to need your help. Kim felt her heart twist. She didn't want to help. She didn't want to be anywhere near this house again. But she also knew she had no choice. If she didn't help, nobody would ever find her mother. I'll do anything, Kim said softly. Just find her. Bennett stood up. We will. The rest of the morning passed in a blur. Officers searched the house, the backyard, the shed. They found signs someone had dragged something heavy through the yard. They found a shovel with dried dirt on it. They found drops of something that could be blood. But they didn't find Martha's body. Not in the yard. Not in the shed. Not anywhere on the property. David had moved it again, fast, before the officers arrived. Kim tried to imagine him dragging her mother around like she was nothing, and the thought made her stomach churn. At noon, Detective Bennett asked Kim to walk her through everything that happened before the blackout. Kim described every detail she could remember. The creak of the door, the sight of David walking toward her, the sudden blow to her head, the dirt smell filling her nose as she fell. Bennett listened with a cold, focused stare. When he knocked you out, Bennett said, did you hear anything before you lost consciousness? A shovel? A car? Anything? Kim closed her eyes, searching her memory. I think I heard a truck door slam. But I'm not sure. That helps, Bennett said. We'll put out a bolo on his truck. Kim hugged her knees. Do you think he's going to kill someone else? Right now, Bennett said. I think he's trying to run. But if someone gets in his way, then yes. He's capable of anything. Kim felt the fear crawl up her spine again. And Kim, Bennett added, if he hit you once, he might come after you again. Kim froze. Come after me? Callahan doesn't want witnesses, Bennett said. He knows you found the body. He knows you talked. Kim's heart thudded painfully. You think he'll try to kill me? Bennett didn't sugarcoat it. It's a possibility. Kim looked down at her hands. They were shaking again. Her whole body felt weak. So what do I do? She whispered. Bennett stood up straight. You stay close to us. You let us protect you. And you keep telling me anything you remember, anything at all. Kim nodded. But a sick feeling settled deep in her stomach. Because she knew something Bennett didn't. She wasn't the only one who knew where her mother's body had been. There was one more person. Martha's head was still missing. Kim hadn't said anything earlier. There hadn't been a chance, but she knew her mother's head had been taken. Which meant David moved it first, maybe days before. He didn't just kill her mother. He didn't just bury her. He wanted to hide her identity. It wasn't just a killing. It was something darker. Something colder. Something done by someone who expected to get away with it. Hours passed. The sun lowered. Officers continued searching. People in the neighborhood peeked from their windows, wondering why police cars lined the street. Kim sat on the back bumper of an EMT truck, wrapped in a blanket, trying to stay warm even though the air was mild. Fear had a strange way of making everything feel cold. Detective Bennett approached again, looking tired but focused. We searched the property top to bottom, Bennett said. He's gone. But we found something in the shed. Kim looked up. What did you find? Bennett motioned for Kim to follow her. As they stepped into the backyard again, Kim felt her chest tighten. Every part of the yard reminded her of the moment she found the body. She could almost see the shape in the dirt again. Inside the shed, officers stepped aside as Bennett pointed to a wooden table. On it lay a large black trash bag, sealed, heavy. Kim's breath caught. Is that? Bennett held up a hand. We don't open anything like this without the forensic team present. But based on weight and shape. Kim stared at the bag. Her legs trembled. Her vision blurred. She didn't want it to be what she feared. She didn't want it to be her mother's head. But she also needed to know. Open it, Kim whispered. Bennett shook her head. Not yet. Evidence protocol. Please, Kim said, louder this time, her voice breaking. I need to know. Before Bennett could answer, a voice shouted from outside the shed. Detective, you need to see this, now. Bennett stiffened. Kim felt her stomach drop. The tone of the officer's voice wasn't normal. It wasn't calm. It was shaken. Frightened. Bennett turned to Kim. Stay right here. Do not move. Kim nodded weakly. Bennett and two officers rushed outside. Kim stood frozen. Then she heard it. The officer outside shouted again, louder this time. Detective, there's another grave. Detective Bennett ran toward the officer who had shouted, and Kim followed a few steps behind without even thinking. Her legs moved on their own, shaky but determined. Her heart pounded as she stepped out of the shed, the bright afternoon light hitting her eyes hard. Two officers stood near the far end of the yard, both crouched near a patch of dirt that looked even more disturbed than the one Kim had dug earlier. The ground here wasn't just uneven. It was ripped up, messy, like someone had dug fast, stopped, dug again, then filled it in with sloppy hand. What do we have? Bennett called out as she approached. One of the officers looked up, his face pale. Fresh soil, detective. Really fresh. This was dug last night or early this morning. Kim felt her stomach twist. Is my mother there? She whispered. We don't know yet, Bennett said gently but firmly. Stay back for now. But Kim didn't move back. She stood frozen in place, watching as the officers began clearing away the top layer of dirt. Every scoop made her chest tighten. Every scrape of the shovel made her teeth clench. The dirt shifted under the metal, and something pale appeared. Kim sucked in a breath. A wrist. A hand. A faded blue sleeve. Her mother had been wearing blue the day she vanished. Kim choked on a gasp, clutching her chest. That's her shirt. I think that's her shirt. One of the officers paused and looked at Bennett, who nodded for them to continue. But as more dirt was brushed away, something became clear. The body wasn't complete. Only an arm and part of a shoulder had been buried there. Kim covered her mouth with both hands. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Oh God, he cut her apart? Bennett cursed under her breath and stepped closer. He moved the rest of her. This is another disposal site. Kim felt dizzy. Her mother hadn't just been buried once, or twice. She had been moved in pieces like trash. The horror of it made Kim's legs tremble. She leaned against the shed, trying not to collapse. The officers marked the site, photographing the soil and placing flags around the edges. Bennett paced slowly, thinking hard. Her eyes narrowed as she stared at the ground. Kim watched her, feeling a strange sense of trust. Bennett wasn't just a detective, she was someone who actually cared. Why would he bury just an arm here? One officer asked. Bennett shook her head. He's rushed. He's panicking. We showed up earlier than he expected. He didn't have time to finish what he planned. Kim wiped her face. Then where did he take the rest of her? We're going to find out, Bennett said. Kim wrapped her arms around herself, feeling suddenly cold. He's sick, she whispered. He's really sick. Bennett didn't disagree. They continued searching the yard inch by inch, but no more remains were found. As the forensic team zipped the arm into a bag, Kim turned away, unable to watch. Her breathing came in short, panicked bursts. She tried to steady herself, but her body wasn't listening. Bennett noticed and approached her. "Kim," she said softly, "I know this is unbearable. I know this is the hardest thing you've ever lived through. But I need your help now more than ever. You know Callahan. You've seen his behavior. You may know something without even realizing it." Kim swallowed hard. "Like what?" "Anything. Anything he said, anything he did, anywhere he liked to go. We need to figure out where he would take the rest of your mother's body. And where he would run." Kim closed her eyes and forced herself to think. "He used to take long drives," Kim said weakly. "Sometimes he would come back late at night. He wouldn't tell us where he went. My mom didn't like it." "What direction?" Bennett asked. "North? South? Highway? Dirt roads?" Kim bit her lip. "South, I think, near the old quarry. My mom used to say he liked going where nobody else went." Bennett nodded slowly. "That helps. We can start there." "But what if he already dumped her somewhere else?" Kim asked, voice cracking. "We'll find her," Bennett said. "We won't stop." Kim wanted to believe her. She wanted to believe there were people strong enough to handle the kind of evil David carried inside him. But fear still sat heavy in her chest. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, officers searched the area beyond the yard. Neighbors were questioned. A helicopter was requested. The entire block buzzed with flashing lights and quiet conversations. Kim sat on the back bumper of the EMT truck again, wrapped in the same blanket. She stared at the house, her mother's house, but now it felt like a crime scene from a nightmare. She remembered birthday parties in that yard. She remembered laughing with her mom on the back step. She remembered planting flowers together. Now all she could see was death. Detective Bennett returned holding a clipboard. "Kim, I need you to listen carefully. We're going to take you to the station soon so we can file a full statement. After that, you'll need somewhere safe to stay. Callahan may not be near here anymore, but we can't take chances." Kim nodded. "Okay. Is there anyone you trust? Anyone you can stay with?" Kim shook her head. "My dad died when I was little. I don't have siblings. It was just me and my mom." Bennett's eyes softened. "Then we'll put you in protective housing for the night." Kim wrapped the blanket tighter. "Do you think he'll come back here?" Bennett hesitated. "He came back once. That tells me this house means something to him. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's control. But yes, it's possible he'll return." Kim's chest tightened again. She imagined David walking in the dark, hiding in the woods, carrying her mother's remains. She imagined him watching the police from somewhere close. A chill crawled up her spine. "Detective," an officer called out from across the yard. "We found tracks." Bennett looked at Kim. "Stay here. Don't move." She hurried toward the other officers. Kim watched them kneel near the side fence. Something on the grass had caught their attention. Long, deep footprints leading out of the yard and into the field behind the house. The tracks looked heavy, like someone dragging something. Kim felt sick. An officer called out loudly. He was carrying weight. "A lot of it." Another officer added, "These tracks lead straight toward the tree line." The wooded area behind the house was thick, dark, and endless. It stretched for miles, all the way to the old drainage ditch and the edge of town. Kim whispered, "He dragged my mother through there." Her vision blurred as she stared at the trees. Suddenly, a shout erupted from the field. "Detective! Over here!" Everyone turned their heads. Another officer was running back from the direction of the woods, waving frantically. "Detective Bennett! We found something." Kim's heart stuttered. Bennett sprinted toward the officer, and Kim, ignoring the blanket slipping from her shoulders, followed again, her feet stumbling through the patchy grass. "What is it?" Bennett demanded as she reached him. The officer pointed toward the woods, his voice barely steady. "We found another trail and blood," he said. "But that's not the worst part." Kim froze. "What's worse than that?" The officer swallowed. "There's a bag," he said. "A big one. It's torn open. Bennett's face hardened. And the officer pointed deeper into the trees. There are drag marks leading away from it. Kim's breath caught. He had taken something out of that bag. Something heavy. Something that should have stayed inside it. Bennett lifted her radio. All units, move in closer. Stay on alert. We don't know if he's still in the woods. Officers spread out, flashlights clicking on even though the daylight still remained. The woods suddenly felt darker than they should have, shadows stretching long and sharp. Kim stood at the edge of the trees, her heart thumping painfully. Bennett held up a hand to stop her. "You can't come with us any farther," Bennett said firmly. "It's too dangerous." Kim shook her head. "But that could be her. Something of hers. Please. You stay here," Bennett said, her voice strong but kind. "I'll bring you news as soon as I have it. I promise." Kim nodded weakly, though her chest ached. She watched as Bennett and the officers stepped deeper into the woods, disappearing behind the thick leaves and branches. Minutes passed. They felt like hours. Kim held her breath every time she heard a rustle or a snap of a twig. What if David was hiding nearby, watching? What if he was planning to attack again? What if he... A radio crackled from inside the wood. Then Bennett's voice came through, sharp and urgent. "Everyone, stop. Don't move. We found something major." Kim's pulse jumped. Officers paused. Another radio clicked on. "What did you find, detective?" Bennett's answer carried through the quiet, tense evening. "There's blood here. A lot. And there's something else." A long pause. Kim clutched the tree beside her. "What is it?" another officer asked. Bennett's voice came through low and shaken, something Kim had not heard in her before. "It's a map." His map. He marked places he buried things. Kim's breath shattered. "And one of the marks," Bennett added, "is labeled with a single word." Another officer asked, "What word?" Bennett's voice lowered. "Head." Kim froze as the man in the dark hoodie stepped out from behind the shed. For a second, her mind couldn't understand what she was seeing. Why was someone hiding back here? Why would anyone stand this still in the dark, right in her mother's backyard? Her heart beat so hard she could hear it inside her ears. The phone shook in her hand. She had just used it to light the path, but now the screen felt slippery with sweat. The hooded man didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even flinch. He just stood there, watching her as if waiting for something, maybe waiting for her to scream, or run, or step closer so he could do whatever horrible thing he came here to do. Kim opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She tried again and finally pushed out a whisper. "Who are you?" The man slowly lifted his hand. Not fast. Slow, like he didn't want to scare her, or maybe like he wanted to enjoy the moment. He pointed at the mound of dirt behind Kim, the one she had been looking at before he appeared. Kim followed the direction of his finger, confused and terrified. "This is where it ends," the man said in a low, rough voice. "You shouldn't have come here." Kim felt the ground tilt beneath her. She took a step back, nearly tripping on a broken flower pot. She didn't take her eyes off him. Her breath came out in loud, shallow gasps. She clutched her phone, ready to run, ready to call 911, ready to fight, whatever she had to do. Then, suddenly, the man turned and ran. Fast. Too fast. His feet hit the ground hard as he sprinted down the side of the yard and squeezed between two fences, disappearing into the neighbor's property. Kim chased him to the fence line, but he was already gone. Only the sound of his footsteps faded into the distance. Kim stood there shaking, terrified, confused, and angry all at once. Her whole body trembled. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911 with fingers that barely worked. The dispatcher answered instantly. 911, what's your emergency? There's a man in my mom's backyard. Kim cried. He was hiding. He pointed at something. He ran. The dispatcher's voice became firm and steady, the kind that tries to calm you down just by sounding calm. Are you safe right now? I think so, Kim said, her voice cracking. Please send someone. Please. We have officers on the way. Stay where you are. Do not approach anything or anyone. Stay on the line with me." Kim nodded even though the dispatcher couldn't see her. She walked back toward the open yard, every shadow looking like the hooded man might return. The backyard felt bigger than she remembered, darker than it should have been, heavier somehow, like the earth itself was hiding something she hadn't fully seen yet. The dispatcher kept talking, asking her questions, reminding her to stay still, reminding her she wasn't alone. But Kim barely heard her. Her eyes drifted over to the mound of dirt again. That lump in the ground had been bothering her for days. She thought it was new. She thought something was wrong with it. But now, after seeing that man, she felt in her bones that this wasn't just some random patch of soil. This was a grave. She could feel it. The first patrol car arrived within minutes, its lights flashing bright colors across the houses. 2 officers walked into the backyard, hands on their holsters. Kim ran to them, breathless, voice shaking. He was right there. A man in a dark hoodie. He was hiding behind the shed. The officers moved quickly, spreading out to search the area with flashlights. They checked behind the shed, around the fences, through the alley. Nothing. The man had vanished like he'd never been there at all. One officer, Officer Barnes, returned to Kim and asked, "Can you describe him?" Kim's voice cracked. Tall, maybe 6 feet. Dark hoodie. I couldn't see his face. He pointed at that. She aimed her shaking finger at the mound of dirt, and said, "This is where it ends." The 2 officers exchanged a look. It was quick, but Kim caught it. It wasn't a look of disbelief. It was a look of concern. Without waiting for her to say anything more, they called for backup. A second patrol car arrived. Then a third. Then a crime scene van pulled up, and suddenly the backyard was full of uniformed officers and investigators walking around with gloves, cameras, and measuring tools. Kim watched, her arms wrapped tightly around her body, as the officers cordoned off the yard with bright yellow tape. People from the neighborhood began peeking through their windows, some stepping outside to stare. Whispered conversations carried across the yard. Kim heard her mother's name in some of those whispers. She tried to shut them out, but she couldn't. One of the investigators, a woman named Detective Sarah Lanning, approached her gently. "I'm Detective Lanning," she said. "Can you walk me through what happened tonight?" From the beginning. Kim told her everything. How she came to check the house after weeks of silence from her mom, how she noticed the new dirt in the yard, how she felt something was wrong, and how she saw the man in the hoodie. Detective Lanning listened carefully, taking notes, nodding occasionally. Her face remained serious, focused. When Kim finished, the detective looked toward the mound of dirt and motioned to one of the forensic tech. "I want this area examined immediately," she said. Kim's heart pounded. She could feel something building. Something big. Something awful. As she waited, she thought back to the phone calls she made to police over the past month. All the times she begged them to check on her mother. All the times they said they found nothing suspicious. All the times they treated her like an emotional daughter who couldn't accept that her mom might have walked away from her life again. Now the yard was filled with police tape, flashlights, and investigators. Now they were taking her seriously. One of the forensic techs knelt beside the mound of dirt. He put on fresh gloves, pushed his hand into the soil, and pulled up a clump of dirt. Kim leaned forward, her breath caught in her throat. "Detective," the tech said quietly. "You should see this." Detective Lanning walked over quickly. Kim followed without being asked. The tech brushed away more dirt and paused. "Ground is unnaturally compact," he said. "This area was dug up recently." Kim felt her stomach twist painfully. "What does that mean?" she whispered. The detective turned toward her. "It means someone buried something here." Kim felt her knees weaken. Her head began to spin. She grabbed the edge of the fence to steady herself. The air felt too thin, too tight. "Is it her?" she whispered again. "Is it my mom?" Before the detective could answer, one of the officers shouted from behind the shed. "Detective, you need to see this." Every head turned. Officers rushed toward the voice. The detective looked at Kim and said gently, "Stay here." Kim didn't stay. She followed a few steps behind, her heart racing, her palms sweating, her breath sticking in her throat. The officer who called them over pointed at the ground next to the shed, just inches from where the hooded man had been standing earlier. There was a shoe sticking out of the dirt. A woman's shoe. A familiar shoe. Kim gasped loudly, nearly collapsing. She covered her mouth with both hands as tears streamed down her face. Detective Lanning radioed for additional unit. Possible body. We need full excavation personnel. Immediate response. Officers moved fast, clearing the area, shining more lights, calling in more help. Kim stood there crying, shaking, unable to speak. She recognized the shoe because she had bought it for her mom last Christmas. Her mother loved that brand. She wore that style all the time. That was her shoe. That was her foot. That was her mother buried under the dirt. The backyard fell into a heavy silence as every officer realized what they were dealing with. But the night wasn't done. While everyone focused on the shoe, the mound, and the ground, a loud noise suddenly tore through the yard, a sharp crack from the side gate being slammed open. Officers jumped to attention, flashlights swinging. A figure bolted through the gate. The same hooded man. But this time, he wasn't running away. He was running straight toward Kim. The hooded man sprinted toward Kim so fast that she didn't even have time to scream. His shoes slammed into the ground with heavy thuds, and his body moved like someone who had nothing left to lose. Officers yelled, "Stop! Police! Stop right there!" But the man didn't care. He didn't slow down. He didn't look back. He came straight for her as if she was the only thing he could see. Kim froze. It was like her feet turned to stone. Her hands trembled so violently her phone slipped from her grip and hit the grass. She watched the hooded man charging at her, and everything inside her screamed to run, to hide, to do something, but she couldn't move. Not even an inch. Then a gunshot exploded through the night. It wasn't aimed at the man. Officers fired a warning shot into the air, trying to shock him into stopping. But he didn't stop. If anything, he ran faster. 2 officers tackled him at once. The hooded man hit the ground so hard the grass tore beneath his body. He fought back wildly, kicking, twisting, trying to break free. One officer grabbed his arm. Another forced his shoulder down. He screamed with rage, a loud, wild sound, "Let me go!" Kim stumbled backward, her knees almost giving out. The officers struggled to hold the man down, but finally they forced him onto his stomach and cuffed him. He thrashed for a few seconds more, then stopped moving altogether, breathing hard, his hood slipping back just enough to show part of his face. It was David, her mother's boyfriend, the same man Kim had suspected from the very beginning, the same man police ignored her warnings about. Detective Lanning rushed to Kim, holding her by the shoulders. "Are you hurt?" Kim shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. No. But that's him. That's David. That's who I told you about." The detective turned, her jaw tightening. "Get him up." Officers lifted David from the ground. He didn't look at anyone, not at the officers, not at the detective, not even at Kim. He kept his head down, breathing like he had been running for miles. When Detective Lanning stepped closer and said, "You need to explain what happened," David finally looked up, but not at her. His eyes locked on Kim. "You ruined everything," he hissed. Kim stepped back, trembling. The hatred in his voice sent a shaking chill through her arms. It felt like poison dripping from every word. Officers dragged him away before he could say more, but the damage was already done. His words cut deep. They felt final, dangerous. As officers put him in the back of the patrol car, Detective Lanning turned to the forensics team. "We continue the dig. Full excavation. Secure everything." Kim watched the scene unfold, her eyes never leaving the mound of dirt where her mother lay. The yard buzzed with activity. Officers running back and forth, forensic techs setting up lights, neighbors staring from behind fences and windows. The night felt endless, like time had stretched itself out and refused to move forward. Detective Lanning walked back to her, speaking softly. "Kim, I know this is hard, but we need you to be strong a little longer. We're going to uncover everything tonight." Kim nodded, unable to speak. Her throat felt raw. Her heart hurt. Her whole body felt numb. The digging began. A forensic tech used gloved hands to gently remove soil near the mound. Another tech used a small trowel to scrape layers away carefully. Every movement felt delicate, like they were afraid of hurting someone who had already been hurt too much. Kim held her breath. More dirt came away. Then more. Then one of the techs froze. "Detective, we have fabric." Detective Lanning moved beside him quickly. The tech brushed away more soil. Slowly, a piece of cloth appeared, dark, dirty, torn. Kim recognized it instantly. It was the shirt her mother wore the last time they talked. Kim pressed her hand to her chest as a heavy sob shook through her. She turned away, trying to breathe, trying not to collapse. The excavation continued, slower now, more careful. After several long minutes, the tech spoke again. "Detective, there's more. We have limbs." Kim's knees gave out. She fell to the grass and grabbed a tree trunk to steady herself. She didn't want to hear more. She didn't want to see more. But she knew she had to stay. She needed to be here for her mother. Techs worked with steady hands, clearing dirt until they finally uncovered enough to see. Kim didn't see all the details. She couldn't, but she saw enough to understand. Her mother had been buried in pieces. A small cry left her lips, quiet but filled with pain no words could describe. Detective Lanning quickly knelt beside her, holding her shoulders. "You don't have to watch," the detective said gently. "You can sit inside the house. We'll come to you." Kim shook her head. "No. I stay. I stay with her." Tears blurred everything, but she didn't look away again. When officers lifted her mother's remains from the earth, they moved with a kind of care and respect that made Kim cry even harder. Even in death, even after all the horror, her mother was being treated like someone who mattered. And she did matter. She mattered more than anyone had believed before. Hours passed. Maybe 3. Maybe 4. Kim lost track. The police worked like a silent machine. Lights shining bright, radios crackling, officers whispering, neighbors watching, the night holding a heavy sadness that seemed too big for one backyard. Finally, Detective Lanning approached her again. "Kim, we need to talk inside." They sat at the kitchen table. The same table where Kim ate when she visited her mother. The same table where her mother drank coffee every morning. Now it felt cold, empty. Detective Lanning folded her hands. Her voice was soft but steady. "We recovered your mother's remains," she said. "We can confirm she suffered violent injuries. The medical examiner will tell us more, but, Kim, your mother didn't suffer an accident. She was hurt on purpose." Kim nodded slowly, tears sliding down her cheeks. "David," she whispered. Detective Lanning exhaled. "We believe so. He was the last person to see her alive. He was here tonight. He tried to run. We found evidence near her remains that links him directly to the crime." Kim felt a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. Relief that she wasn't crazy. Relief that her instincts were right. Relief that police finally believed her. But heartbreak that her mother had suffered so much. Detective Lanning continued. "Kim, because of your determination, because you kept pushing us, because you didn't give up, we found her. You gave your mother a voice tonight." Kim covered her face and cried. Big, loud, painful sobs filled the kitchen. And for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel alone. Later that night, officers took David to the station for questioning. His hoodie was torn. His face was blank, almost emotionless. But when Kim saw him being walked to the cruiser, he looked at her again with the same cold, hateful stare. "You should have stayed out of this," he muttered. One officer shoved him into the seat. "Shut up." The door slammed shut. Kim stood in the yard watching him leave. Her heart pounded, but the fear was different now. It didn't hold her down. It didn't stop her from breathing. It didn't make her feel small. This time, she felt strong. This time, she felt like she had done something powerful. The house grew quieter as the night moved on. One by one, cars pulled away. The lights were taken down. The yellow tape fluttered softly in the breeze. Officers spoke quietly as they packed up equipment. Detective Lanning approached her one last time. "Kim, before we finish tonight, I have to ask you one last question." Kim wiped her face. "Okay. When you saw David tonight, how did he get into the yard? Did you see him come through the gate?" Kim shook her head. "No, he was already hiding behind the shed." The detective nodded slowly. "And earlier, before officers arrived, that's where he stood too." Kim froze. Slowly, she turned her head toward the shed. Detective Lanning continued. "We checked the ground behind it. There were footprints. A lot of them." Kim's stomach tightened. Why would he stand there so much?" Detective Lanning looked her straight in the eyes, her voice soft but heavy. "Because sometimes killers return to the place they bury the body. They come back to make sure no one has found it, or because they want to feel in control again." Kim swallowed hard. The idea sent a cold wave through her chest. "He was watching the grave," Kim whispered. "Yes," the detective said. "He was watching. And when he saw you getting close, he panicked." Kim hugged her arms around herself as tears welled again. But this time, the tears weren't just sadness. They were anger. Deep, burning anger. Her mother deserved so much better. She deserved safety. She deserved life. Detective Lanning placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "We will make sure he never hurts anyone again." Kim nodded, clenching her jaw. "Good." As the last police car pulled away, Kim walked to the backyard one more time. The grass was torn. The earth was open. The lights were gone. The air was cold and quiet. She walked to the place where the mound of dirt had been. She knelt down and pressed her hand to the soft soil. "Mom," she whispered, voice trembling. "I found you. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm sorry you were alone. But you're not alone anymore. I promise." A tear fell onto the dirt. The sky above was dark but full of stars, quiet, distant, watching. Kim stood up, took a deep breath, and walked back inside the house. Her mother's house. The place that now held both memories and pain. But also the truth. And as she closed the door behind her, she knew one thing for certain. Her mother would finally get justice.